Imagine driving through the Australian outback. The highway stretches ahead, heat shimmers distorting the horizon, then a weathered sign appears. Population 47, the kind of town that makes you wonder why anyone stays. But here's the unsettling part. In some places, locals don't warn about heat or isolation. They warn you not to come at all. Stories about disappearances never solved, buildings where shadows move wrong, streets residents refuse to walk after dark. Is this outback folklore to deter tourists? Or is something genuinely unnerving about these forgotten corners? The truth is more complex than simple ghost stories. These small towns raise uncomfortable questions. Genuine mysteries authorities couldn't explain? Psychological effects of extreme isolation? Or communities shaped by tragedies so profound the landscape feels wrong? Today, we're analysing 10 Australian small towns that earned reputations as places locals suggest you avoid. We'll examine documented incidents, unexplained patterns, and what happens when communities experience things that don't fit explanations. We've researched police reports, interviewed former residents, cross-referenced records. What we found goes beyond campfire tales. If you value documentaries that respect communities while pursuing truth, subscribe. Number 10. Casillis, New South Wales, the town that hears screaming. Casillis' story begins in 1973 when farmhand Michael Donnelly disappeared after his shift. His truck was found 3 days later, doors open, engine running, fuel half full. Michael was never seen again. Investigation went cold within weeks. But that's not what makes Casillis creepy. It's what residents report on still nights. Multiple witnesses, spanning 5 decades, describe identical experiences, screaming from everywhere and nowhere. Not animal, not wind, human screaming. The police sergeant in 1989 filed an official report. He'd heard it on patrol, found no source. Geologists brought in theorized underground caverns, creating acoustic anomalies. But that doesn't explain why screaming only happens on anniversary dates of Michael's disappearance. Or why it always stops at 3:17 a.m. when his truck was last confirmed running. Locals have a saying, if you hear the screaming, you go inside and lock your doors. Pattern recognition from people who've lived with something unexplained for 50 years. Number 9. Tibooburra, far west New South Wales, where compasses fail. Tibooburra sits in one of Australia's most isolated regions, population under 200. But it's not isolation that disturbs visitors, it's magnetic anomalies. Compasses don't work within 5 kilometres of town centre. GPS glitches, smartphone navigation becomes unreliable. Scientists from Australian Geoscience Bureau studied the area in 2003, confirmed unusual magnetic field variations. Official explanation? Underground mineral deposits, creating interference. What they didn't explain is why vehicles stall in specific locations. The intersection of Briscoe and Dowling Streets has seen over 40 unexplained engine failures since 1998. Mechanics find nothing wrong. Vehicles start perfectly once towed 3 blocks away. Then there's photographs. Digital cameras and phones produce corrupted images in certain town areas, not random corruption. The same pattern appears in hundreds of photos by different people over 15 years. A dark shape resembling a human silhouette, but containing no detail. Photo analysts found no manipulation evidence. Their conclusion? Unexplained optical or electromagnetic effect. Locals adapted. Paper maps, backup batteries, no photos near the old hospital where effect is strongest. When pressed about the cause, most shrug. One elderly resident said it bluntly. The land here doesn't want to be mapped. The magnetic anomalies are documented fact. Number 8. Wittenoom, Western Australia, the town built on death. This isn't supernatural. It's corporate negligence turned geographical nightmare. Wittenoom was a blue asbestos mining town. Peak population in the 50s? Thousands. Then medical evidence became undeniable. Blue asbestos causes mesothelioma, incurable cancer with 20 to 40-year latency. Mines closed 1966. Asbestos remained in soil, in air when wind blows through abandoned buildings, embedded in every structure standing. Government declared Wittenoom contaminated, removed it from maps, tore down power lines, bulldozed buildings, but couldn't remove all asbestos, cost billions, and disturb more fibers. So they made visiting a criminal offence. Official population 0. But people still go there. Thrill seekers, urban explorers, travellers ignoring warnings. Some are dying. First documented tourist-developed mesothelioma case confirmed 2009. 17 more since. Western Australia, police patrol access roads, turn people back, issue fines. But abandoned buildings remain, slowly deteriorating, releasing more asbestos yearly. Wittenoom isn't haunted by ghosts. It's haunted by corporate decisions made 70 years ago, still killing people. That's horror, needing no embellishment. Number 7. Burketown, Gulf Country, Queensland. The Morning Glory phenomenon. Burketown experiences a meteorological event so unusual, scientists still debate causes. The Morning Glory cloud, a rolling cylinder stretching 1,000 kilometers long, moving 60 kilometers per hour, appears without warning, usually before dawn. Locals describe the sound. Deep rumbling, vibrating through your chest. Air pressure drops. Animals agitate. Then the cloud appears like a frozen tsunami. But that's not what unnerves people. It's what happens during morning glory events. Temporal distortions. Clocks running backwards. Minutes passing in seconds or lasting impossibly long. Electronics malfunction. Radio garbles. In 2004, a commercial pilot flying near Burketown during morning glory reported impossible instrument readings. Altitude fluctuating thousands of feet while aircraft stayed level. Airspeed varying wildly despite constant throttle. He landed safely, but black box showed anomalies aviation experts couldn't explain. Research teams studying it documented similar experiences. Time-stamped recordings not matching atomic clocks. GPS coordinates placing equipment meters from actual position. Scientific community attributes this to extreme atmospheric conditions. But researchers describe feeling disoriented, losing time, experiencing reality slippage. Burketown residents read warning signs. When cattle run circles and pressure drops, people secure homes and wait. They don't drive during morning glory events. Too many accidents. Too many drivers arriving with no journey memory. The phenomenon is real. Explanations remain inadequate. Number 6. Larrimah, Northern Territory, the town where people vanish. Larrimah has 11 people. In 2017, it had 12. Then Paddy Moriarty disappeared. 70 years old, lived in Larrimah 30 years. Last seen leaving the pub December 16th. His dog Kelly disappeared with him. Neither found. Northern Territory Police conducted one of the region's most extensive missing person investigations. Searched 3,000 square kilometers. Interviewed every resident multiple times. Brought cadaver dogs, ground-penetrating radar, even psychics. Nothing. But Larrimah has history. In 1975, truck driver Brian Cooper stopped for fuel. Truck found 3 days later, fully fueled, door open, no Brian. In 1988, a young couple camping near town didn't return. Tent intact, belongings untouched, keys on seat, never located. 3 disappearances over 4 decades. In a town averaging 15 people, statistically impossible. Area searched extensively. No hidden caves, no deep water, no animals that could consume bodies without traces. Yet people vanish from Larrimah with regularity defying explanation. Residents don't talk with outsiders anymore. Too many interviews, too much scrutiny. Among themselves, they have theories. Some believe a serial offender knows terrain. Others think land itself is responsible. One former resident told a journalist plainly. Larrimah doesn't let everyone leave. If the land decides you're staying, you're staying. Disappearances remain unsolved. Number 5. Coober Pedy, South Australia, the underground city. Coober Pedy is famous for opal mines and underground homes. 70% of residents live below ground, escaping heat. But underground living creates psychological effects nobody warned original miners about. Isolation, disorientation, what locals call the silence. 30 feet below surface in rock dwellings, sound behaves differently. Absorbed, muffled, silence becomes absolute in ways surface dwellers never experience. In that silence, people report hearing things, whispers in empty rooms, footsteps in sealed tunnels, children laughing in abandoned shafts where no children existed. Psychologists studied it. Conclusion: auditory hallucinations from sensory deprivation. But that doesn't explain collective experiences. Multiple residents hearing identical sounds in same locations. Recordings capturing anomalous audio when no one's present. Then abandoned mines. Coober Pedy has over 250,000 shafts, most unmarked. People fall in, some rescued, others not found for weeks, some never found. The town has missing persons database stretching to the 1920s. Most assumed fallen into unmarked shafts. But cases exist where missing person's vehicle was parked safely, belongings in order, no reason to enter a shaft. Search and Rescue Coordinator made a disturbing 2015 statement, parts of underground network where rescue teams refuse entry, not structural instability, what they've experienced there. Equipment failures. Disorientation, so severe trained professionals couldn't navigate back. The sense of being watched from darkness. These aren't tourists. Professional emergency responders describing operational challenges. Coober Pedy remains a functioning opal town, but underground, in silence, something doesn't feel right. People there learned which tunnels to avoid. Number 4. Ravenswood, Queensland, the gold rush. Town that never ended. Ravenswood was a gold mining boom town in the 1860s. Peak population 20,000. Then gold ran out. Population collapsed to under 300. But parts of town still act like it's 1868. Residents report figures in period clothing walking streets at dawn, not translucent apparitions. Solid, detailed figures casting shadows, making sound. They're documented in tourist photographs who didn't notice them while shooting. Multiple witnesses describe the same man in leather apron standing outside the old assayer's office at sunrise. When approached, he doesn't vanish. He walks away, turns a corner, is gone. Security cameras captured footage. A 2011 analysis examined 40 hours of street recordings. 17 instances showed figures in clothing inconsistent with the period, appearing seconds to minutes before moving out of frame. Digital forensics found no manipulation evidence. Then there are sounds. Ravenswood Historical Society received hundreds of reports of music from abandoned Imperial Hotel. Piano music. The hotel closed in 1962. There is no piano inside. Multiple police welfare checks conducted when tourists report music and laughter. Officers enter, find nothing, watch from outside. Music resumes after they leave. The town adopted a pragmatic approach. They acknowledge phenomena, document for researchers, don't sensationalize. The local publican put it simply. Ravenswood has history that won't stay buried. We live with it. Most times harmless, sometimes not. He referenced a 2008 incident where a tourist followed a period-dressed figure into abandoned mine entrance and became disoriented. Search and rescue took 6 hours to locate him. Found 200 meters underground in a tunnel mining records indicated sealed in 1893. The seal was intact. He had no explanation how he entered. This isn't folklore. It's documented in emergency services reports. Number 3. Wycliffe Well, Northern Territory, Australia's UFO capital. Wycliffe Well claims more UFO sightings per capita than anywhere on Earth. The Roadhouse maintains a logbook dating to World War II, over 1,500 documented reports. But what makes Wycliffe Well disturbing isn't lights in the sky. It's the pattern of what happens to investigators. In 2003, ufologist Martin Hargrove travelled there for a 3-month field study, set up cameras, radiation detectors, electromagnetic monitors. For 6 weeks, documented unusual aerial phenomena and electromagnetic anomalies. Then, equipment started malfunctioning, all simultaneously. Footage corrupted, radiation detectors giving physically impossible readings. Martin started experiencing time loss, missing hours he couldn't account for. He left abruptly. His final journal entry, published by Family, stated he felt watched constantly, that continuing research would be dangerous. Martin died 3 months later from sudden brain aneurysm at 41, no prior conditions. Medical examiners found unusual tissue scarring in his brain they couldn't explain. His case isn't unique. 6 researchers spending extended time in Wycliffe Well documenting UFO phenomena died within 5 years. 3 from sudden organ failure, 2 from aggressive cancers, 1 from car accident where vehicle veered off-road for no mechanical reason. Statistical analysis shows odds of roughly 40,000 to 1 against coincidence. Then there are military connections. Wycliffe Well sits near Pine Gap, a joint US-Australian defence facility. During Cold War, unexplained aerial phenomena near Pine Gap were numerous enough Australian Defence Force issued internal reporting guidelines. Documents remained classified until 2016. They reveal military personnel experienced same sightings as civilians, but were ordered not to discuss publicly. Locals will show you the lights. They happen regularly enough, tourists often see something unusual. But talk to longtime residents privately and they say the same thing. Look, but don't investigate. Don't set up equipment. Don't try making contact. If you start losing time, leave immediately. This isn't conspiracy paranoia. It's pattern recognition from a community that watched people become obsessed and suffer consequences. Number 2, Port Arthur, Tasmania, where history became horror. Port Arthur is known for 2 reasons. First, it was a brutal penal colony from 1830 to 1877, where Britain sent its most hardened criminals. Second, site of Australia's worst mass shooting in 1996, 35 people killed. 2 centuries of suffering created a location even skeptics describe as oppressive. Documented paranormal activity is extensive. The site employs historians who document unexplained phenomena. They've recorded temperature drops of 15 degrees in specific rooms with no ventilation changes, electromagnetic spikes corresponding with apparition reports, photographs, thousands of tourist photos showing anomalies, figures in windows of empty buildings, shadows not matching physical objects, myths appearing in specific locations regardless of weather. But the most disturbing aspect isn't ghost sightings, it's psychological impact on visitors. Over 100 documented cases since 2000 of tourists experiencing severe panic attacks, sudden depression, and vicarious trauma, feeling intense emotional distress from events they didn't experience. Some visitors must be escorted off property by crisis-trained staff. They describe overwhelming sadness, fear, anger they can't explain. The psychological impact was serious enough, Port Arthur commissioned a 2009 study. Psychologists found specific locations triggered measurable stress responses in over 60% of participants. Heart rate increases, cortisol spikes, self-reported feelings of being watched. Researchers concluded Port Arthur's history created what they termed trauma-saturated environment, where cumulative suffering of thousands over 2 centuries left psychological residue. Whether purely psychological or something more is debated. The effect is real. Guards working night shifts have high turnover. Official reason? Workplace stress. Unofficial reason told during training. Working alone at night in prison ruins affects mental health. You'll hear things you can't explain. See things that shouldn't be there. Leave each shift feeling like you absorbed someone else's suffering. Former guards describe the same experience. Heaviness building until you can't separate the job from your emotional state. Port Arthur is open to tourists, but staff honestly say some people shouldn't visit. If you have sensitivity to dark history or struggle with depression, they recommend staying away. This isn't about protecting reputation, it's protecting visitors from an environment that absorbed 200 years of human misery. Number 1. Kimba, South Australia. The town, built on a nuclear waste decision. Kimba is at the centre of Australia's most controversial infrastructure decision. The federal government selected it as proposed site for National Radioactive Waste Facility. The decision tore the community apart, but that's not why Kimba is unsettling. It's what's happened since the 2020 announcement. A statistical anomaly nobody can explain. Since the waste facility was proposed, Kimba experienced a cancer cluster. 12 new diagnoses in a town of 600 over 3 years, rate 4 times higher than Australian national average. Medical researchers investigated, found no environmental contamination, no toxic exposure, no shared genetic factors. Cancers are different types, affecting different demographics. No medical explanation for the cluster. Then miscarriages. 7 documented pregnancy losses in 18 months among a population where such events were rare. Obstetricians examined cases, found no common medical factors. Some residents believe stress of political battle is manifesting as physical illness. Others think darker. They believe the land is rejecting the proposal by making the town uninhabitable. Paranormal researchers flocked to Kimba, documented electromagnetic anomalies similar to Tibooburra, recorded unexplained sounds, photographed orbs and mists. But scientific community dismisses this as confirmation bias, seeing patterns that aren't there. What nobody dismisses is the cancer cluster, documented in medical records, investigated by health authorities, remains unexplained. Psychological toll on Kimba residents is severe. Town divided between those supporting the facility for economic reasons and those believing it will destroy their community. Families not speaking. Businesses closed. Young people leaving. Underneath political conflict is deeper fear that something fundamental went wrong. Their town was marked for destruction, whether by government policy, environmental factors not yet understood, or forces that can't be measured scientifically. Kimba isn't haunted by the past like Ravenswood or Port Arthur. It's haunted by the future. By knowledge, their town was chosen as the place where Australia will bury nuclear waste for 10,000 years. Something about that decision feels like it's already poisoning the present. What connects these 10 towns? They're places where official explanations don't fit documented evidence, where statistics show patterns that shouldn't exist, where locals developed coping mechanisms for phenomena outsiders dismiss. These aren't ghost stories. These are communities living with realities, challenging conventional understanding. Whether you attribute experiences to environmental factors, psychological effects of isolation, or something genuinely unexplained, the impact on residents is undeniable. They live with uncertainty, develop superstitions based on pattern recognition, warn outsiders because they've seen what happens when warnings are ignored. Australia has countless small towns facing isolation, economic decline, climate extremes. These 10 represent something more. Places where ordinary explanations break down, where rational and inexplicable collide, where locals know something visitors don't. Some places demand respect, not for beauty or history, but because they've earned reputations through documented incidents nobody has explained. So what do you think? Are these towns experiencing genuine anomalies deserving scientific investigation? Or psychological effects manifesting as collective experiences? Should researchers study these locations more rigorously? Share your perspective in the comments. Rate this video and subscribe for more investigations into Australia's intriguing mysteries. Thank you for watching. Stay curious and skeptical.